Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage. I'm very much in my happy place. I'm surrounded by my XK8s. Was a Jag fan ever happier? Certainly not. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to give an initial examination to Sapphire, my new 1998 project car, non-runner, and go over it and see at our first pass what's wrong with it, what issues it has, and make a list. Those who followed along on my last saga of saving steed will know that we do like a list, and we're going to make a list today of everything we know about that's wrong on this car. Well, on the last project I individually identified all of the bodywork issues. I'm not going to be able to do that with some big lists on this car, so let's have a quick look and we'll summarise. So it's got massive lack appeal. The slightly rubbed down look is where Jo, my wife, has just had a little go with a sanding block to see if we can knock the edges off, but it's endless. The lack appeal is very extensive on the bonnet, A-pillars and roof, and then there are little bits on other areas of the car. You can actually see a blistering on this wing. So I'm going to assume that this has had a respray at some point, but it's not gone well. Because I don't think, even in the harshest of environments, Jag's paint would have degraded to that extent in UK climate. Then there are areas of the car where we've got this, it looks like scratches, but it's crazy. There's also here, but not on that wing. So I think that's the paint and the crazing. Then in terms of visible corrosion, this wing here is okay. There's lots of rubbish, not jet washed this car. This looks like a repair has taken place there. That's a familiar thing. Now how good that is, I don't know. Probably warrants a bit of an investigatory grind down, but it's not too bad. Go to the front wings. That looks very good. And we look at the sills. First glance, pretty good. You can see about halfway along that sill where the seam is, there's a change in colour underneath, suggesting that's been dressed as a minimum, welded at a maximum. So, odd tiny dent, but actually it's remarkably straight. A little bit of crazing there. That looks okay. Still looks very good along here. Here it's ruptured a bit, and that's a repair in there. There's a thicker piece of steel here. I think that could be dressed, cut and made nicer, but it's not really structural. This, on the other hand, is nasty. So the paint's split, the bodywork is split there, unless that's a lot of filler, and it doesn't really look like the lines are right. It is hard to tell on these early cars because this is well inboard of this. Okay, so kind of covers the bodywork. He is very good, and here, and everything around the boot aperture looks really good. Don't think it's ever been in a crash. Boot lid plinth hasn't been painted or been rubbed down, and the badge is as close to missing as you can be. And then our Dorchester grey elements are weathered, chipped, but really not horrendous. Okay, so next let's go to the back, because I know straight away the bumper is shot. So that'll be the two bumper mounts are broken, the plastic elements of them at least, and it may be the devil's own game to get that off. And I suspect the supports will be gone because I can move that so easily. We'll check that out when we're underneath. So that kind of covers off exterior bodywork. Okay, then we go to the headlights. So they've got an advisory because of this headlight on its last MOT. And what you can see is the silvering has completely failed on the reflector. Cosmetically, the headlight surround has got some silvering failure, which it wouldn't matter if these were black in terms of MOTs, but that's not the worst I've seen either. But it has had some water in here. You can see the trail that it's left. Yeah, much less reflector failure, similar discoloration on the silvering on the surround. But if you were going to do something with that one, sorry, you'd have to do both. Realistically, it's two reflectors. Fog lights are intact, which is not a given, particularly on a Mark 1, because on the Mark 1 they're recessed and collect stones. On a Mark 2, as I would call it, they deflect stones. Right, I've come round to the boot because I'm going to put the battery that came with it back on. The battery is the wrong size, and I've been reconditioning it because it was properly flat, but I should at least be able to check things like lights to understand what's going on. So I'll put that in a moment. I've lifted out the spare wheel, and you'll note it's got a full size alloy. So this is the advantage of 17-inch revolver wheels. They were not popular in the UK. Part of it's just we have a rep with anything that's a bit posher than a shopping car. I think it's a kind of snobbery. We don't like to be seen to have the basic model. We'd like to upgrade. We always up spec. So not many cars ended up with a basic wheel. Plus it is a bit of a challenging look. This webbing is a bit big and it looks too close to a wheel we're very familiar with in the UK, called the Mini Light or the Super Light, which is the more common copy. This looks like a wrong Mini Light. There's just too much webbing and he's cutting away like that. So not a common sight. But this wheel, I don't think it's ever been on the car. It's not been refurbed. Look. Literally never been on the car. And I don't think this tyre has, and I think it's the original tyre. But I cannot find a date stamp on it. This is what I would recognise as being a clue for a date stamp, this sort of lozenge shape. But you've got 2, 4, 7 and a triangle. Well, 24, it's not 2024. 47, don't know. You would imagine that this is going to say 1998 or 1997. Is that 97? Don't know. A little bit of automotive archaeology. That is a little gadget that stops certain fuses being removed from the car. It's out. That is the fuse remover. It should be in here. Okay, that looks quite normal. Okay, that lives there. They're still taped over, suggesting they've never been touched. You'll note it's missing its locking wheel nut key. It's because it hasn't got any locking wheel nuts on it at all. Again, rarity. Right, let me get this battery in place. Right, so I've dropped the battery in. Obviously completely the wrong battery, so another item for our list is it needs a new battery. I had this jump into life and these come on. And look, a clear CD carrier. Never seen one of them before. Is that because it's aftermarket? Replacement? Don't know. Those of you who know about such things, let me know. Turn the side lights on. So, side light, side light, side light, side light. Always check your boot lid lights. Ha! So it does work, but needed a thump, so just sticky connection. This should have 2 reversing lights, I think, so one of them is out. This has got auto lamps on this car. Not something I've got. So head, tail, tail, main beam, attempt at main beam. Let's put the hazards on. Lamps are working. Yep. Yep. So, full set of lights. Possibly reverse tyres. Absolutely cooked with almost no wear. So I think we can put that down to being stood in the sun. So again, like the bodywork, sunlight's taken a toll. Yeah, you can see cracks in the sidewalls. So despite being fresh as a daisy from a tread point of view, they're more or less toast. Okay, let's have a little peep under the bonnet. Gas rams are holding it up. They are better than the ones we had on Steed. First thing I notice, headlamp access port cover is off. Shedder's in place. Why is that off? There's no water in there. Could have been just somebody checking stuff out. But that one's on. I'm going to put the bonnet in the service position because I want to have a look at the radiator. There we go. Put my no-fly tag into the bonnet. Don't want that to get forgotten about. Cause a lot of damage that way. Right, I'm going to push you in to get a better view than me, guys. Because that is not an original radiator. That's good news. That's been as a minimum record. Oh, cooler looks okay as well. I can see way too much down there, so that's just reminding me that I've already spotted the front under trays off. Pipes are completely collapsed. So that's been sucking hard. Yes, auxiliary belt. Looks in very good condition. I don't think that's been on long. Power steering lid was loose and is overfilled. So that's just been done. So this might have an almighty power steering leak. I have to investigate that, but there's no marks on the ground at the moment, but it's pretty oily around this pipe. At a glance, the engine mounts look okay, but there might be some debris down there next to the V-mounts, which might be rubber. Might be road rubbish, might be rubber. Something to have a look at. Oil. Not been done in the last 100 miles, but that's not filthy. It is low though. No sign of any mayonnaise, so that's good. I hope the trim panel is off. Doesn't necessarily mean anything because they are tricky to get back on, so people surrender. But while we're stood here, let's just have a little look what this is like under here. Nothing horrendous, a couple of grommets missing that hold the trim piece in place. This water tank's got a lot of white staining around it, but the V of the engine is very dry. Just grab my UV light. Yeah. That's had a lot of coolant on it, could have overflowed. Cap could have gone. There's some splashing down there. There's the water pump. It's got a few drips on it, but nothing particularly scary. I'm okay with everything I'm seeing here so far. It's missing its little pipe but does nothing on top of the throttle damper. Let's have a little look in here. Okay, tiny amount of muck on that. It's the right colour, which should be orange. It's a bit low and a bit cloudy. Probably a coolant change might be in order. But again, I'm not seeing anything particularly fretful. Other radiator looks good from what I can see, which isn't a lot. Looks like the mounting, yeah, mounting is sheared for the airbox, so the airbox is touching the engine, so that's going to be noisy. So an instrument needed. Checking down there. I can see the rubbers of the anti-roll bar easily, and they look like they may be gone. Hard to say at the moment, but I'll check that back from underneath. The breather pipe is intact and looks quite fresh. Right, time to go on the strut mount. Oh, okay. Not disgusting. That we can live with for now. Have a look at this one. Same condition, same age, no doubt. Let's go in this compartment. Cobwebs. But I'm not seeing anything too disastrous, other than the fact the plenum vents are off, so all the rainwater that comes down the windscreen will go straight in here, which tends to make the carpets wet eventually. So before I do anything else, I think I can probably do this one. This pipe is reattaching, simple as that. This elastic band onto there, fixed. Looks like a new cap, if I'm honest. Yeah. I think it's an indicator of fluid's aged. Oh no, I was going to say it looks really black, but the fluid isn't black. I think there's some debris in there that I think I could do with a flush. Let's go to the other compartment where the drain pipe off and filling with water is more of a problem because the ECU's in there. Yeah, the elastic band's not on. Yeah, this one looks a little bit more crusty, dirty. Don't like the corrosion on that positive terminal. It means that's been damp. Also, it really should have a rubber boot on it. ECU's inside there. That's got security screws, so I won't be able to get in that just like that. Yeah, the pipe is in place down there, but the band isn't. Grommets or screws or washers or something down there that shouldn't be there, so we'll investigate. This plenum's cracked here and here, which would suggest, to my mind, that it had a new windscreen and somebody didn't know what they were doing. But on this car, the bonnet hasn't been properly shut since it's been delivered. I haven't shut it, and I note that the lever's up in the bonnet release. Bit of a stiff action there. So before I shut the bonnet properly, might as well just check. I can feel the cable up there. So we're attached still. On this side at least, I can put you guys there while I work the lever. If I find it again, there it is. And we can see something happening. I can hear it moving on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger these as if the bonnet's been shut. So push that down like so. Then go around the other side, because if the cable breaks or these jam up with the bonnet shut, it's the devil's own game to sort it out. Let's try this. Well, I heard that one open, so that's good. This one doesn't. Ah, it's got it. Didn't want to click, not easily anyway. Yep. So, don't know what's going to happen, but it give me a little bit more confidence that maybe when the bonnet gets shut, they'll open. But I'll do that a few more times. You don't need to watch do that. Okay, so under bonnet, I'm not seeing anything that scares me. Let's go in the car. So now we're inside the car. What we can see is a driver's seat is very dried out. I think it's been dressed a few times. It could certainly be made smart. It's not ripped. I have seen far worse, but it's quite ugly. So that could be try a bit of a furniture clinic products do on it. I'm missing the little escutcheon from round the recline mechanism, and as always the hinge mechanism covers are gone or broken. Let's see if this works. Yes, that is the pump for the lumbar support. That works. Tilt and recline, yes. Up, no. Down, no. Forward, yes. Backward, yes. So the lift motor is jammed, disconnected, failed. I can hear the relays going. Okay, these are original mats. You can tell by the colour of this. Not feeling wet. There's a stickiness, but to be honest, have you seen it? I'm not going to worry too much about stickinesses for now. That's the boot, it's open already. That's the petrol filler release. I've just heard it pop open. Now, the cover was off here, and I jumped in the car obviously to push it up my drive. And what I noticed is we've got this cover, which is way too glossy because it's a different colour. And we got this cover, which is the right colour, but the retaining clip has broken off, so we can see why they're there. Out of those two, we'll be able to fix that. But yeah, it's an issue to resolve. Huge pile of documents. And you'll note the cloth cover is off on the rear parcel shelf, and there is no high level brake light at all, and we have no headlining at all, but fiberglass. So it's an upgraded one in my mind anyway. Seats are dirty, but that's not a problem. I think this is, I thought that might be a cigarette mark, but no, I think it's just really badly stained. Okay, not wet. This seat's in pretty decent condition. Quite pleased with that. Lumbar support, recline, forward, forward, backward, up, down. So this one, it works. But interestingly, I see some cable here that shouldn't be there. Yeah, the cabling's not routed properly. Surprised it hadn't pulled out. So that actually gives me a little bit of confidence that maybe something's just pulled out, disconnected on the other side as well. I bet these seats have been out to do a floor and they're not been returned correctly. That could be it. I hope so, that'll be easy. Glove box, no documents in there. The dash is the same as Purdy's, the smoked bird's eye maple. 2 cracks in the lacquer there. The rest of it at a glance looks good. Ooh. There we go. Rare working vents car. Okay, I've jumped in the driver's seat. Turn the ignition on. Won't start obviously because no fuel pump. All the lights light up and then most of them go off. That's all good. Driver's side window. I can hear something trying, but no. Up, no. Left, no. Yes. Do the memories while I think about it. This one doesn't want it, so let's open the door. See if I can give it a bit of assistance. Right, so that doesn't work. So this door module is in doubt. Center console, nothing to report. Sport button does what it should. Press your foot on the brake. I can hear the relay go, solenoid go there, sorry. And it has locked the passenger door. Interestingly, it didn't lock the driver's door. Right, I'm suspecting a door module has gone in this side, or wiring. The door is stiff, but I don't think it's bad enough to have a problem down there. But that door's got some issues. If I use the remote, can we do anything? That remote doesn't work. Okay, so got some issues going on there. That's good. Yeah, that's a perfect example of a classic failure mode. So, sun visor, let's see if I can stick it up there to give it a place to live. There we go. Sun visor over there is gone. Fan on. And a speed, so that works. Recirculate button. I heard something move. So that's good. Temperatures, 27 degrees outside. Obviously the aircon isn't going to do anything because the engine's not running. Defrost button. Ah, interesting. This had a screen heater. It doesn't have a screen heater now, so it is definitely a new screen. So maybe that's explanation for the crack in the plenum. Yeah, I can hear servos moving. That's good. headlight adjust. Can't really check on my own, and I've got the car facing the wrong way round. Headlight adjust, I'm going to need to drop my garage door for a moment. So, don't appear to have fog lights. Traction control wouldn't work without the engine anyway. Radio needs a code. Nothing unusual about that. I've had a good rummage through all the documentation I've got. And look, radio codes. 5332. Don't steal my radio, folks. Ah. Yay. So it's unlikely to get anything in the garage. Open my door. But you can just check that it works.
And then of course Oasis.
Excellent. So we go working radio. Excellent. Well, it's time to stick it in the air. Let's see what we can see. So I've brought you inside the wheel arch. I whipped the wheel off so we can have a look round together. And first thing is, discs, very little wear, completely smooth. Probably, I'd say 50% worn on the pads. So brakes are good. Springs look very good actually. Yeah, springs look good. The gaiters are fine. They've dropped down, so their bump stops are missing or just slipped. I can feel the bump stop inside, so it's just slipped. This top wishbone bush looks pretty badly corroded on the shims and washers. There, look. So it really needs top wishbone bushes. But here's the first real problem. Can you see in here? That should be a panel. That's what's left of it. It is a standard place for them to rot. It's certainly repairable, but it does mean a subframe drop. Okay, let's go down. So that's the worst thing I've spotted so far on the car, if I'm honest, bar the fuel pump. So now we'll trust to symmetry, but the other brake is okay. They look good. Now, actually, in many ways, it's very good under here. I'm sure those of you who don't live in the UK will be staring up saying, what do you mean it's good? It's disgusting. No, this is okay. For our climate, this is genuinely okay. So, front suspension, sure the bushes could do with a refresh, but they're not giving a problem at the moment. And the ball joints, track rod ends, etc. appear good. We got this large area cross member. It's corroded, but it's surface rust. There's no problem there. That just wants tidying up. And then the under tray putting back in, because that is missing. You've got a better view of the radiator, which has obviously been replaced. I think the anti-roll bar D bushes are gone. Let's see how much movement we got there. That's just too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, the anti-roll bar can move left to right, but it's all too easy. So, a set of D bushes. Because we've lost the under tray, and we've got this mark here in the front wing, you can see that the front wheel has bit that, which probably means the under tray pulled it back into the wheel, and you've got perfect symmetry that side as well. So I think we can assume it ran over its own under tray and ripped it off. You can see the way these fixing holes are all torn. So inner wing is a bit damaged. It's not consequential. We could certainly plastic weld and bracket that back to a new under tray. No signs of leaks coming from the catalytic converters, thank goodness. Original exhaust, no bad thing, because they do last a very long time, very well. Looking at the bodywork down here, actually looks very good again, and this has had the lifting panels removed. Yeah, and actually there's the weld line for new floors being put in to the footwell, which again I wouldn't read as a negative. They go on these and that's the end of it. There's a brake pipe, the thin one on the right there, that's hanging a little low. It's obviously not standard, and I don't like the routing over there, but that's an easy correction. Floors, front to back, look good. Handbrake mechanism all intact. Prop shaft, tiny amount of slack in it, nothing really. Still got the original squashed pipes going over the axle. People think that's damage, but no, that's normal. There's a storm blowing in, so I need to finish off quick. I've whipped off a rear wheel, and the discs are very corroded, but not lipped. So theoretically they could be cleaned up, are certainly serviceable, and again half worn on pads. Bump stops are intact, no wet on the dampers. These bushes look good and intact, other than this in the middle, which yet again is a case of repair not gone far enough, I think. This is not looking bad. You will note this has got a stage 1 sports exhaust, but interestingly it's missing its tips, so it's exiting behind the bumper, so even if the bumper wasn't shot, they're making a hell of a racket. Looking there into the area that I had to work so much on Steed, that looks really quite good. I mean, the bracket looks crusty. That'll clean up nicely, I think. Rear drop links, they are shot. Yeah, rear drop link's gone. Very interesting, but this bracket is mangled. It's been hammered on. It's not rust that's got at it. That's mechanical. But if it's been jacked on that corner, on that bracket, that might be where it is. It's been jacked up a few times on there. Again, that mounting area is fine. I'm noting that we've got a bolt-on fuel filter. Important to know how your fuel filters attach. Some are push fits, some are bolt-ons. As the fuel pump is allegedly shot on this car, I will show you the infamous fuel lines. I think you'll be able to see them up there. Those are the fuel lines that need disconnecting from the bottom of the tank and change the pump the right way, and they are there. So that is very difficult to do. Okay folks, so having given it a quick once over, this is what we've got. So, fuel pump failed, we hope we know. Lack of failed, paint crazing, obviously a big deal, don't know how to deal with it. Rust on rear quarter, that's this one here. The bumper mounts are shot, which are the fiberglass ones, plus the welding bumper brackets are shot, which are the ones at the just behind the wheels. The main beam reflectors are shot. Right hand reversing light, probably just a bulb. It needs tyres. Brake fluid probably needs changing. The power steering is too full, it's just suspicious. The instrument holds up the air filter. Seat hinge covers are missing. Driver's seat lever might be dressable, might need a new cover. Fuse box cover on the driver's side needs repairing. Parcel shelf trim is in need of replace, new cloth. Headlining needs relining with cloth. High level brake light is missing. Driver's lift motor doesn't work. Driver's mirror doesn't work. Central locking and fobs don't work. Driver's window doesn't work. They could be related. The fog lights, don't know if the engine's got to be running for those, but possibly don't work. Fuel filter, I've got no idea, but there's no way we're doing a fuel pump and not changing the filter. Front subframe, vertical area rust. So I showed you that on the one side, I'm making an assumption about the other. Swollen nuts, that isn't rude, it's the wheel nuts. Some of them you can't get the 21mm on. So it needs a few new wheel nuts, and the exhaust tips are missing, and it's going to exit exhaust fumes under the car, which is dangerous. So what I've done is I've put asterisks by the things which I feel would absolutely 100% need to be done to make it safe enough to be driving around in. And that comes to just under £1,000. That doesn't include dealing with the paint, which is obviously a big deal, and that doesn't cover off half the cosmetic things. So that would put us into the car for about £2,000. So what do you guys think? What would you do with this car based on that knowledge? I will change the fuel pump on this. A, I have one. B, it makes the car mobile theoretically. So I'm going to do that task before we get into a full examination of steel. I think it's only when I've got the view of steel and sapphire that I will understand what I want to do, but I really genuinely value your opinion, so let me know. Changing the fuel pump is notoriously difficult and literally the reason some cars get scrapped. This one I could probably change through that gap by the power of touch. So I may do that way. Taking the tank out is a bigger task. The other alternative is we take the wooden parcel shelf off, and there's a speaker hole up there, which is great, but it doesn't actually line up with the hole in the tank. I could use a nibbler non-spark cutting machine to cut that bigger and then put a repair panel back in, as in make a panel to make a hatch. That's an option. I will ponder it. Be quite interesting to do, but I do know it's quite a lot of work just to get that wooden panel off. Don't know. So I'll come back to this another day and tackle the fuel pump, and in the meantime send in your thoughts and opinions so that I've got some more ideas of what I should be doing with this car. It's obviously very cosmetically challenged, and from a corrosion point of view, yes, it's got a few bits and pieces that need dealing with, but it's the behind the front subframe stuff that's the real effort, the real challenge, and would necessitate dropping the entire front subframe down. What do we think? Let me know. You've only got a few days left if you would like to submit a photograph for the 2025 photo share. Unlike previous years when they've ended up in a calendar and the car and the picture that got the most votes ended up on the front cover, this time I'm hoping to put them all in a photo book, and the picture that gets the most votes will end up on the front cover. So if you want to be involved, do not delay, send me a picture today, or at least before midnight on the 31st of July 2025, when I'm going to close the whole thing off. Send me a photo with the subject photo 2025 to john@tothegarage.co.uk. Don't say I didn't warn you. Bye. If you're interested in any of the gadgets, gizmos and tools that I use in my videos, then very often I'll put a link to relevant items in the description below the video, but you can also go to amazon.co.uk/shop/to-the-garage, and that will give you the To The Garage storefront. These are not things I'm selling, it's just a link to all of the Amazon based items that I've bought over the years which are relevant to the channel. Nice little feature. Thank you very much, Amazon. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos.